Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to We Are Tottenham TV for another Good Morning Tottenham. Southampton won, Tottenham won last night, well, yesterday at St Mary's, in a very extremely frustrating game yesterday.
Very extremely.
Yeah, even more. I can put an even more if you want, but it was so frustrating, especially being there yesterday. I thought, let's take it from the beginning in terms of Conte's lineup and stuff like that. Do you think that Conte got it right with the lineup? I felt maybe we should have stuck with maybe a 3-4-3.
Yeah, you could probably argue that. I think that in the first half, obviously we started slow. To be honest, I anticipated that. I said before the game, we know Southampton like to start quickly, and we know they put you under a lot of pressure early doors, and you have to ride the storm. We didn't. We conceded, and that's always going to make brilliant goal, and that's always going to make the game a lot tougher when they've got they're in the ascendancy. They've got something to cling on to, especially later in the game. In terms of formation. Yeah, I would have started Lucas just because he's in such good form, and then even if he gets tired, at least maybe in the first half he can get you a goal or an assist, and maybe you can look to take him off after once you're in the lead. But maybe the fact that Bergwijn was injured, he thought, look, if I start Lucas, I don't really have anyone on the bench if things aren't going right to change the game, and maybe that's part of the reason he stuck with it. And to be honest, as much as we didn't play well in the first half, that it wasn't a surprise to me when we did equalise in terms of how it happened, because there was about 4 or 5 opportunities. I remember specifically when Kane was picking up the ball near the halfway line, where if we got the pass right, we were in on goal. It happened about 3 or 4 times. We just kept getting it wrong, and then literally right at the end of the first half, we got one right, and we were through.
That was so frustrating in that first half. Is like our passing ability in the first half, our passing quality was so bad at times. And look, Southampton went into lead, deservedly so. And I think when we scored, it was a bit against the run of play, wasn't it?
It was, but it wasn't, as I said, it was against the run of play, but it wasn't a surprise because it was exactly how I envisaged us scoring, paying that through ball straight through the centre. They were constantly open there, and it was only our bad passing that prevented us actually getting in on goal. So I just knew, I said on stream when I was with Brains, I said, we just need it to go right one time and we'll be in. And that's exactly what happened at the end of the first half. So I really thought once that happened, and then they went down to 10 men, all the momentum would be with us and we're going to win. But unfortunately, it didn't pan out like that. And in a weird way, I actually think we would have been better off if he didn't get sent off, in a weird way. Because Southampton are a team, we'll go into second half performance in a second, but Southampton are a team who like to play very open and they like to attack. And they play with a lot of risk. And they played with a lot of risk in that first half. And it was paying off for them a lot. But, we definitely had opportunities to open them up going the other way. But I feel like because they went down to 10 men and they were drawing 1-1, it kind of felt like there's something switched in their mentality. They're like, okay, we're just going to, because we're down 10 men, we have to just drop back and defend the whole second half. We're just going to have to be very, very resolute. And that's exactly what they did. And I feel like if it was 1-1, 11-on-11.
Or 1-0, because, if the sending off doesn't happen, the penalty probably doesn't happen.
Whatever. Even if we got the penalty without the sending off, I'm just saying, like, even if it's 1-1 going second half and it's 11-on-11, they're still going to commit players forward and be very open because that's how they play and they're going to try and win the game. But because they were down to 10 men, that gave them no option but to sit back and be resolute and put all men behind the ball and make it very difficult for us. Yeah. And so in that instance, actually, the red card might have hurt us in a weird way.
Yeah, I mean, I can see where you're coming from for sure, but that's exactly what happened. That's exactly how it panned out in the second half. They sat there, all 10 men behind the ball for pretty much the majority of the second half. It was basically attack against defence, wasn't it, for that whole second half? And we were tippy-tapping around their box pretty much the whole time. No one was gambling and taking that shot. We were getting crosses in the box, no real quality in our shots either. I mean, it was just so frustrating, and especially how much we were attacking that second half. And we actually got the 2 goals. We got 2 goals with Harry Kane.
One of them were real quality, yeah, the Kane goal.
Harry Kane and Matt Doherty, obviously, with the keeper spilling it. And they chalk them off. I don't understand how those goals get chalked off. especially the Doherty one.
Yeah, the Kane one, you know, we've been so used to millimetre offsides now for so long.
Change the rule, man.
I know, I don't understand why. They said thicker lines and advantage to the attacker, but it didn't happen in this case for some reason. They went to his shoulder, but they didn't go to the Southampton player's shoulder, so I don't understand why it was ruled out. It was, I think, onside. I think when you look at that, the lines are touching, so I think you've got to give advantage to the attacker in that instance, and they didn't. They examined it for ages and then decided no goal, and yet with the other one, with the Doherty, with the forced own goal, they didn't even check it. It was really strange because the cross comes in. Yeah, Doherty's challenging him, but he doesn't foul him in any way, shape or form.
He drops the ball before Doherty he challenges him.
He doesn't have control of the ball at any moment. He doesn't get hands on the ball. He completely lets it through his hands and it goes in off the back of his back leg. It wasn't as if he had the ball and then got barged over. That's not what happened whatsoever. So it was not a foul. And VAR doesn't even, you know, how many times have you seen VAR for like 3 minutes? Rewind, go forward, check it.
Every game.
Right, and yet for this one, they don't even look at it. I didn't understand. I didn't know. It was very clearly not a foul. It was clear and obvious that it wasn't a foul.
I was wondering that actually in the stands. I was like, how?
The play carried on immediately.
I know, and I was wondering that. I was like, how? I was like, is VAR really not looking at this? Is it really not looking at this? I just don't understand what's going on right now. And the game just carried on.
And the referee on the Mark Clattenburg was on the comms for BT, and he said, it's not a foul, but VAR can't get involved in this because the referee's made the decision. I was like, but why? Why can't VAR get involved?
Did he not give a reason?
No, he was just like, go because it wasn't clear and obvious or something. I'm just like, it's not a it's very clearly not a foul. Doherty barely touches him. So the fact that the referee's blown up for a foul and the ball's gone in the back of the net, when there's a goal happening, a game-changing event, you have to look at that. You have to look at that and make sure you got the decision right, because there's been a massive error here by the referee. He's seen a foul that hasn't existed. The foul doesn't exist. So why the VAR can't say, look, you should be able to take a look at this because there was no foul here? I don't understand why VAR can't look at it. They didn't even it was like play just carried on immediately. They didn't even think about VAR looking at it. It was very strange.
Were the Spurs players going crazy at it?
They weren't. It was only for about a few seconds when it happened. Doherty and Kane were like, "What are you chatting about? There's no foul." And then play carried on, so they just got to carry on. They can't be complaining for too long. Yeah. So they were complaining, but it wasn't incessant. But I guess, to be honest, from the top, maybe obviously Doherty was involved, so he was the one who really knew there wasn't a foul. But for everyone else, it did kind of look like, from the naked eye, because when they challenge the keeper,
I was there, right there.
9 times out of 10, it's a foul.
My first reaction was like, how the hell is that disallowed? I literally saw him in front of my eyes just drop the ball. That's what I saw in front of me, and I was like, wait a second, what's going on here? I couldn't believe it in front of my eyes. I just couldn't believe it.
I'm saying 9 times out of 10, when you see those incidences, it looks like a foul because you can't touch the keeper, you can't challenge the keeper. And usually when the keeper gets touched, in other incidences, it's a foul. So when you look at that, a lot of people automatically assume it's a foul. And I think that's what the referee did.
Yeah, I get that.
That's what the referee did. That's probably why a lot of the Tottenham...
The referee, how can the referee assume?
Because he probably didn't get a good view of it. He probably didn't get a good view of it.
So go back to VAR then.
Agreed. But
what is he doing?
I agree.
So stupid.
And I'm saying that's why all the Spurs players probably didn't complain.
That's why VAR has been brought in, and you know what I mean? If the referee's unsure, the referee doesn't know what's going on, if you can't just assume decisions, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I didn't understand it. But
anyway,
that was frustrating. But I did think throughout the game, we probably created enough to win. I think Doherty had a really good chance. I think he had a few good chances actually on the left-hand side. I think Winks was actually playing some really good crosses and really good passes in behind.
He was the best player on the park yesterday.
Yeah, he was fantastic. And he was the only one playing some really accurate, crisp passes, actually threatening the Southampton back line. If it wasn't for him, there was no one else playing a good quality pass over the top. And his pass as well, right on a plate for Kane, who scored the goal, but unfortunately was ruled out through offside. That was a peach of a ball, absolute peach. And he set up the penalty as well. So he was actually fantastic, I thought, Harry Winks. Best player on the park for us.
Yeah, with those 2 balls you're talking about, the one for the penalty and the one for Kane's offside goal.
Brilliant.
2 brilliant balls.
And not only that, he played a brilliant over-the-top ball for Doherty, who volleyed it right into the rose head as well. But that was a really good cross. He played another one for Son, who looped a header. Unfortunately, couldn't get the header on target.
I mean, there were that worrying moment when he lost the ball. He was dilly-dallying on the edge of our penalty area. Another day that could have cost us massively.
Yeah, but I think the quality he was bringing us, you take that. I think, unfortunately, I think that's what it is. No one else was providing on the pitch what he was. So
yeah, 100%. But the game was crying out for a Tanguy Ndombele yesterday. It really was. I thought he was the one that could have come on with Southampton sitting deep, frustrating, compact. He was the one that could have come on and really kind of picked that lock yesterday.
Yeah, you would have thought so. The only thing is, who you're going to take off? You're going to take off one of Kane or Son. I guess Højbjerg maybe should have been the one because he had a poor game, I thought, yesterday. Højbjerg
Centre-back.
could have taken one of the centre-backs to go forward at the back, but he decided not to. He decided to keep it as it was.
I would have taken off a centre-back. Southampton weren't doing nothing in that second half.
The only thing I'd say is I think Doxy comes on at half-time. I think that change was probably enforced. I'm guessing.
100% Reguilon was going to get sent off, in my opinion.
So that sub happens, and then Lucas comes on for I can't remember who he came on for, but Lucas came on in the second for Dele, because Dele was poor.
Dele was shocking, wasn't he?
But Lucas was always going to come on at some point, wasn't he? Especially when we were chasing the game. Imagine we didn't bring on Lucas, how mad people would have gone, right? So Lucas has to be one of the subs. And then Emerson played 90 minutes 2 days ago, and he was I thought he was getting really tired, so he had to come off. Then who do you bring on? Who do you bring on for Emerson? Do you bring on Ndombele and try and put someone else at right wing back? He decided to bring on Hill, but so that's probably the reason Ndombele didn't get any time on the pitch. But I didn't understand.
Not on the bench yesterday.
No, he was injured.
Yeah, I heard he was injured in the press conference, but was he not named
No.
on the bench yesterday?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, shame. And he's out for the weekend.
Is he a bad injury?
10 days. They're saying him, Sessegnon, Romero, Lo Celso are out for the weekend. That's what Conte said.
Oh, so at least they're putting Romero in the conversations for the weekends. He's saying he's out for the weekend.
I think I don't think that's the case of him nearly being back just yet, but that's bad news on that front. But I didn't. The only thing I think Conte got seriously wrong, because I actually think structurally, how the team played. Yes, we should be testing Forster more, but that's more of a quality of the players. I actually think structurally, how the team was actually creating chances and building up pressure, I think they did fairly well in that sense. Because I think we were putting Southampton I think they defended really well, first of all, and I think we were putting them under constant pressure, and they were forced to defend very well to keep us out, and we should be doing more for sure. But I think they did defend well. But the big thing I think he got wrong was those two wing backs. I did not understand that. I think it cost us in many situations.
You could see it on the
many
pitch
situations.
in front of your very eyes. I mean, how many times did Doherty get that? How many times did Doherty get that ball on such good positions on that left wing?
Yeah.
How many times? And what did he do every single time? Cut in and do something awful.
And the chance was gone every time he cut in, because all of a sudden, as soon as you cut in, you allow the defence to get back in position and everything. So, also Hill. I mean, there was one chance near the end where he forced a save out Forster, but he had to cut back in, and once he cuts in, there's a lot of defenders in front of him. Well, whereas if he was right-footed, he could have gone on the outside, and all of a sudden he gets a free shot. I didn't understand it. Not only that as well, but from a point of view of having to put crosses in the box. Every time both wing backs had to cut inside on their stronger foot to get the cross in the box, and I didn't understand because all of a sudden, once you're on a run like that, if you can cross it in first time, it's so much more dangerous to get the defence unsettled, rather than if you're cutting it back in and all of a sudden you're allowing defence to get back in position, and then they're then in a better position to get the cross away. So I thought that was a really bad decision from Conte to not put Gil on the left. And also Gil, we've seen him play. He came to Spurs as a left winger, like as a player who likes to go on the outside and get a cross in and stuff like that. That's how he came. So he didn't come to Spurs as a player who usually cuts inside. So I don't understand why he would want him there. Yeah. Why he wouldn't want Doherty on the right and Gil on the left. It made no sense. And I
mean, that was, I don't know. As soon as Gil was coming on, I was like, all right, this is what we're going to do now. We're going to put Doherty on the right, Gil back on the left.
I actually thought he was going to move to a back four. I thought he was going to go Doherty, Sanchez, Dyer, and Davis as a back four, and then play the rest wherever. But he kept the back five, and he put Gil and Doherty wing backs. I mean, he'll probably look back and I don't know what his thinking was. I wish I could tell you. Obviously, I'm not one to say I know better than Conte, but I can't see logic in that. right now.
Me as well. But at the end of the day, right, as much as we weren't good enough yesterday, we did more than enough to win that game yesterday.
Should have won it.
We should have won it. We deserved to win it. And we just didn't get the points on the board. I mean, these games are going to happen, aren't they? But does this leave question marks for you for our away form still? Like 2 games under Conte now, 2 draws.
Yeah, and 2 performances which weren't the best, were they? But
I mean, you can excuse the Everton one because it's his first game, right?
Yeah. I guess.
This one, on the back of a few good displays, I expected more from yesterday. But again, it's hard to play 2 games in 48 hours.
Yeah, and I think not only
I know
that,
Southampton did as well, but
yeah, but I think they
made a lot more changes.
Yeah, they did. We didn't make that many changes, but I actually think we couldn't make too many changes, unfortunately, for the players we needed to change, like Reguilon and Emerson. I think in a perfect world, you know, we probably have 2 fullbacks who come in and we can rotate. But and also not only that, Bergwijn was injured, so all of a sudden he's not an option, which he probably would have played if he was fit. So then it's thinking like, you know, we have Kane and Son, and Kane, Son and Lucas, but no one else. So they have to put a lot of pressure on them. And the wing backs is such a demanding position. If we're not on much rotation, the longer the game goes on, the less effective they're going to be, and that's pretty much a bore out. So I think all those issues definitely led to a bit of a lackluster performance on the wide areas. But I think in terms of performance, like we should have won the game. Definitely, we should have won the game. Like we had more than enough chances, even half chances, and the goals ruled out as well. I think we should have made things tougher for Southampton, but the situations we created were more than enough to get a victory in this game, and we'll be definitely looking back at this as a massive missed opportunity that we didn't take all 3 points for sure. But you got to give credit to Southampton actually, because I thought they actually defended very, very well throughout the game.
They did. You do have to give credit to Southampton, but look, that game was there for the taking for us. Obviously, down to 10 men for the whole second half. It's highly disappointing we didn't. But a player I want to talk about in Dele Alli. You got 2 players, right, in Dele Alli and Harry Winks. Harry Winks backed up that performance against Liverpool with another great display yesterday. Dele Alli, same old Dele Alli, I'm afraid.
Yeah, he was poor, really poor. I wasn't quite sure if they were playing 3-4-3 and he was in a 3 and 3-5-2 and he was in a 3 in the middle. Like I wasn't sure. Like I don't know if he was sure because we kind of got caught in between. He wasn't either. And he wasn't really being combative in the centre like he was against Liverpool, and he wasn't really getting on the ball and making a difference going the other way. He was very much anonymous, and again, when he fell into that same old Dele when he got the ball, he was being very pushed off the ball so easily. It's all I've always said that about Dele Alli. He's very, very easy to get the ball off. He's not very good at shielding the ball, and that was exactly the case yesterday. It was as if whenever they got the ball, it was like it was a trigger for them. Whenever Dele gets the ball, okay, now you go because Dele's got the ball, you can get him. And that was the case yesterday, and it makes me very frustrated a lot when I see Dele and he has options to quickly get a pass off and maybe start a move, and then he hangs onto it and then tries a trick and it doesn't come off, and sometimes he even tries a trick and he still retains the ball, and then he still doesn't release it quickly and he still hangs on. And there are so many opportunities where he can release it and he just ends up losing it. And it's so frustrating to watch. It's like, just get the ball off, and then, sometimes it's not the right time to do a trick. Sometimes you just got to lay the ball off and then carry on and run. How many times did we see Dele running in behind, doing those late runs? We hardly ever saw it. And Winks was more than looking for it. We saw it yesterday, He was more than willing to play a ball in behind, but Dele just wasn't an option. So... it was a massive step backwards for him after a promising display. And, now you think of that Liverpool display and you think, how many times he's actually had good positions and he wasted them. Then it recontextualize it, because he had a good game, but that 2-on-1 with Alisson, and he makes a lazy pass to Kane and the chance is gone. It makes you think, was that performance even that good? You know what I mean? And that was, he had another opportunity yesterday to prove that he wants to keep up his form, and he really couldn't do it.
Yeah, he blew it yesterday. Dele. Eric Dyer yesterday, another good game from him, but that mistake creeping him at the end with that slip. God. I mean, heart in mouth moment. Had to have Davinson Sanchez to really bail him out yesterday. But
not the first time, because he did that at the end of the Liverpool game, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a few mistakes now since all this praise from Dyer creeping into his games. That one that you just spoke about, the one at the West Ham game when he gave away that goal with that pass into no man's land, then gets completely sold down the river by Bowen. And obviously that one in the last minute against Southampton. I mean, if that goes in, he is getting pelters today. He is getting absolute pelters.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it was funny because in the stream we're watching it, and like as the game was going on, I was like, this is all set up for like a one mistake from Spurs and Southampton just punishing us. And that literally 93rd minute, and very nearly happened. But thankfully Sanchez was a great tackle because that's going in, 100% goal. So we got away with that. But yeah, Dyer, I think, yeah, by and large he had a good game, but you've got to cut those things out of his game.
That's that standard Dyer thing.
I've said it so many times. He has a great game, and then he makes one costly mistake, and it ends up costing us points. Luckily, it didn't yesterday, but very easily could have. And I don't know, is he ever going to cut it out of his game? Who knows? It's just something you got to accept.
It's a shame because he's had such a good game yesterday. I mean, he was so commanding for 99% of that game, wasn't he?
Mm.
And it's just Eric Dyer. It's just standard Eric Dyer. But look, anything else from you for the match?
In terms of the front two, Kane and Son, I think Kane, I think they both actually were trying really hard, and it was very difficult for them when Southampton.
I'm seeing a lot of polarizing
having
views on Human Son today.
I don't think it was that bad. I mean, there are a couple of times, again, his touch was getting away from him a couple of times. But I actually think in the second half especially, he was getting behind the Southampton defence and getting crosses in and trying really hard. He obviously won the penalty as well. Could have done better with a couple of shots he had. Didn't really test Forster too much. Wasn't able to get some shots off. But I don't think he was particularly poor. I wouldn't say he was any worse than anyone else.
It is with Human Son. It's because of how good he is and the quality he brings. If he doesn't have those performances where we know he can bring... people about, Son wasn't good today, because that's to his standards, right? Yesterday, Son was good in terms of he was one of our best players on the pitch yesterday for us. But in terms of his high standards, it wasn't as good as we know he can be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
I think that's why people are really kind of saying, "Oh, yeah, he didn't have a good performance," just because of we know what kind of high standards he can bring.
Yeah, but it was a difficult game for him, wasn't it?
Yeah, of course it was.
A difficult game when he's a player who. In the first half, it definitely was more suited to him, and then you could see that with because he got the penalty, didn't he? And there was a few opportunities where Kane was playing him in behind, and we didn't make the most of it. So that was really his game, and I think we definitely learned from how we destroyed Southampton last year when we were playing it in behind so many times, because we tried to do the same thing, get it into Kane, he holds off Bednarek and the other centre back, and then we open up the space, and it nearly worked a few times. We just couldn't take full advantage like we did last year. But then once the red card comes, they put everyone behind the ball and clog it up, and then all of a sudden it's a lot harder for people like Son to get space and get shots off and get a run on anyone, and then we continually saw that in that second half. So it was probably more tailor-made for someone like a Kane yesterday as opposed to Son. But he did play really well, Kane, I thought, especially in the first half. I thought he was probably one of our best players. We were firing it into him, and he was holding it up and turning and getting those passes in, and he was just getting it slightly wrong.
His confidence is growing, Kane, can't you?
Yeah, and it was a great penalty as well he scored.
Yeah,
and I thought he played a really good game. So that was decent. But yeah, other than that, it was not too much to say. It was just in the second half, it was attack versus defence. They kind of gave us, look, we're going to have 10 men behind the ball, you break us down, and unfortunately we just couldn't do it. And it's just, I don't know whether to put it down to one of those days or put it down to it was a serious lack of quality and it was the same players letting us down again. It's hard to say.
I think it was just one of those days, in my opinion, because we did more than enough to win the game. We had 2 good goals chalked off. Yes, we weren't at our best. Yes, we didn't play that well yesterday, but we still did enough to win that game.
Yeah, and it was like I'm watching the Liverpool-Leicester game yesterday, and Liverpool lost 1-0. And you look at it, you're like, oh, Liverpool, how they lose this game? Were they lackluster or this? And then you look at the chance they had. Salah missed a penalty, Mane misses like 2 one-on-ones, like they have, and before at 0-0. And like if those go in, Liverpool go on to win. But unfortunately, on 9 times out of 10 they score them. On this game they missed, and that's what, and they end up losing the game. And I think it's very similar to Spurs. Like a lot of these chances, a lot of the times we score, but today we just kept missing them and ended up costing us. And look, hopefully it won't cost us over the season. We are still unbeaten. Hopefully that unbeaten feeling is still good, but it is just very frustrating. We couldn't keep up that winning run and get all the 3 points, which against 10 men we should have been getting.
Yeah, look, there's a frustrating narrative at the moment that, Spurs weren't good enough yesterday. Some players letting us down once again, blah, blah, blah. We didn't get the win.
It was always going to happen once we didn't win.
Yeah,
People were always going to say that.
But, if we go out there now and beat Watford and beat Arsenal, the narrative changed to, 7, 8, 9 unbeaten games, Spurs on a massive roll again.
We got to win those. Yeah, we just got to make sure we win.
We have to back these up with next 2 wins now.
Got to make sure we win.
So important.
Just got to make sure we win.
So
100%.
important. That Arsenal game is massive.
Yeah, because if we win, we can go. Assuming we beat Watford and they lose City, we can go above them, and that would be massive. We can do that
with a couple games in hand.
Yeah,
as well.
So we just got to make sure we do the job on New Year's, and then go into the Arsenal game. Be off the back of the double header against Chelsea as well. So we've got some big games coming up.
Yeah, 100%. January is a massive, massive month, not just on the pitch, but off the pitch as well. Because I do think yesterday did show a lack of strength and depth as well for us.
Yeah, it's 100%, because Bergwijn was injured, and all of a sudden there's no options in the forward line really to come on. And that's what, we got Son, Lucas, and Kane, and that's it. And then Bergwijn and Hill backing up, and if one of them's injured, it's like we really need another forward, desperately. With another winger, at least a wing forward, someone like that, to really compete with those positions, or a central striker, because at the moment, one injury and we're so short. And then as well, right wing back, or the full backs as well. Sorry, we definitely need another one, because you saw yesterday only Session was injured, and then all of a sudden we're looking really short in the wing back position. Just one injury and we're so short. It's like we're struggling. We're putting Doherty at left wing back and we're struggling to find anyone, because he clearly doesn't fully trust Doherty, it seems. Otherwise he would have started yesterday.
Yeah, and when we had Poch and we were had the fullbacks, like the flying fullbacks under him, we had fullbacks that he was replacing, rotating every single game pretty much.
Yeah, he had no problem putting in Trippier or Davis in any game. He wouldn't care if it was United at home. If he needed rotating, he'd put them in. He wouldn't care.
And that's exactly what we need right now.
Yeah,
we need with the system that we're playing, with the amount of energy these fullbacks kind of expend during a game. It's hard. It's nigh on impossible to play them both 2 games in a row, 48 hours in between.
No, you can't. Especially with the opposition making all these changes and having more energy.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what we saw. So, it was ultimately frustrating, but it wasn't one of those games to make me lose hope just yet.
No, not at all, not at all. I think, look, 7 games unbeaten now under Conte in the league. The first ever Tottenham manager to do that, ever.
Yeah, just got to get that win away from home. He hasn't won yet. 2 draws. He's only played 2 games.
Our away form is...
it's what's letting us down, because we're third away, we're third at home, and we're 13th away from home in form. So
we need to step up our away form massively, and we need to start off at Vicarage Road on New Year's Day. But look, that is our match review. Spurs have drawn 1-1 at Southampton yesterday in a very frustrating performance.
Some super chats here.
Yeah, go on. Do you want to get through them?
And Dark Sun G21 says that Doherty challenge wasn't checked because the foul was given before the ball hit the net, in my opinion. Also, I wish there was consistency, similar to a situation Brighton versus City. However, the foul wasn't given. That's right. I remember I can't remember. I think in that game, Sanchez was challenged by one of the City players. I can't remember if the goal was given. And then VAR checked it and just gave it anyway, or if the goal was ruled out and then VAR checked it and there was no foul.
I don't remember what you're talking about.
Yeah, there was a goal very recently.
Brighton City.
Yeah, there was. I can't remember what exactly happened, but I remember very clearly the keeper was challenged. I think the goal was ruled out and then they checked it. I'm trying to look back at it. What happened? It was the first goal. I remember very clearly. Where was it? See if I can see it here. This one. That one. Was the goal ruled out? No, the goal was given. So the goal was given initially. That was the difference, I guess. Because I think if the goal was given initially yesterday, then they can't rule it out, can they? But it was a very similar situation. The keeper was challenged. He just dropped it, and I mean,
in
City scored.
those situations, I guess they should always just let the play run and then go back to VAR if you're unsure.
Yeah, I mean, that would be the perfect scenario, because then you end up with situations like this where is like the VAR is not sure if there's enough to overturn it, and then they don't make the referee look at it, whereas the referee definitely got it wrong. So it was so stupid. And in terms of the foul was given, I don't know. I haven't watched it back, but some people say the whistle blew after the ball hit the back of the net, and some people say the whistle blew before.
I saw a tweet. Someone was saying, "Oh, the whistle was blown after," but it's impossible to tell. Really, it's impossible.
Have you watched it back? Have you?
Yeah, it's really hard to tell.
So I'm not really sure. And then Dan Fry says, I would have brought on Tanguy for Emerson, put Doherty right back, left Davis left back in the back four, as we were camped in their half, so he didn't need 3 centre backs. And I
agree with that.
Yeah, I do agree with that. I probably would have gone to a back four. That's what I thought he was going to do when bringing on Hill, to be honest. But I don't know. I wish I could get an explanation out of Conte as to what he was thinking with those fullbacks, but we'll never know.
Probably. At the end of the day, right, since Conte has come here, these are the first decisions we're ever questioning after 7, 8 games, 9 games. So.
And even with the fullbacks, it's not like they didn't create chances. Hill could have scored and Doherty both could have scored. And if he does that, we were saying he's a genius. But in those moments, it worked. But in general, there were too many times where if the right player was on his right foot, on the wing, they just could have got a ball in first time and it would have been a lot more dangerous. But, look, we're questioning him, but we could have actually scored, even with the inverted fullbacks.
DDMK 1985 says, Kyle Walker-Peters was last defender, should have also seen a red. I mean, I thought he was brilliant yesterday. Not too sure what he's talking about.
He's talking about when he fouled Reguilon. Early in the game, Reguilon was through and he kind of brought him, he kind of pulled his shirt. I think it would have been very harsh to... Because I think he was kind of going for the ball. It would have been harsh to send him off. But, I've seen people sent off for less, to be honest, previously, and it probably wouldn't have been overturned. But he wasn't quite central enough to have a proper goal-scoring opportunity. He probably could have got a shot off if he does, if he doesn't. But also you had, I think it was Fraser Forster as well, was coming out, and he might have got the ball before Reguilon, so I don't think you can send him off.
In terms of Kyle Walker-Peters, I've seen a lot of Spurs fans saying yesterday they'll take him back.
He played at right centre-back yesterday, and he was brilliant.
Yeah.
He was brilliant. There was that period where...
He had a point to prove yesterday.
There was that period where Lucas got a cross in and looked for all the world to see Kane was about to head it home, and then Kyle Walker-Peters is there heading it away, and then it falls to Davis on the edge of the box, and he volleys it, and then Walker-Peters again is there heading it away. And he was probably Southampton's best player in the defence. I thought he was absolutely sensational, and in a new role for him as well, which I thought he showed me he was capable of a defensive performance I didn't think he was capable of yesterday, and I was really, really impressed. And look, he's one of them where if he was in the Tottenham squad right now, he would definitely be getting game time with him and Emerson rotating for sure. He would be ahead of Doherty. So, I mean, would I take him back? If it's an option between not signing anyone or signing Kyle Walker-Peters, I'd sign him.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. All right, let's move on. What have we got next? The press conference?
Yeah,
let's have a look at what Conte said last night.
Hi there, Antonio.
Hi. Good afternoon.
Just a point, obviously, today. Can I ask you, was that about Southampton's defending, or was that more about your team's struggles to break through?
I think both. And they were very good. They defended very well. And to find space, it wasn't easy. And but at the same time, I think that we can do much better. And to move the ball more quickly, and sometimes to try also to find the 1v1. And I think that to play after 2 days, not 2 days, but 45 hours is not easy for every team. And I think that I have seen a bit of fatigue in my players, and I think also that for this reason we make sometimes not the good decision, no? And in the last pass to finishing, and you can do much better, but it's not easy. I know very well that it's not easy to play after only 44 hours that you played the previous game.
Can I ask you just quickly what you made of the Harry Kane? Well, a goal that was ruled out by VAR. Have you managed to see it back yet?
Yeah, but I think Eddie scored twice, one penalty and then the second goal. But I think that I don't want to comment the referee decision or VAR decision, and they are there to try to do their best, and we hope every time that they make the best decision.
Thank you. Jonathan Veal, come to you next.
Hi, Antonio. Stephen Bergwijn wasn't involved today. Is he injured?
Yeah. And during the game against Crystal Palace, and he felt a problem in his calf, and he was injured together Lo Celso and Romero and Sessegnon.
Will any of those players be back for Saturday, sorry?
I don't think so. And he has a muscular problem, and I think he need to recover more time than only 10 days or 1 week.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Dan Kilpatrick.
Hi, Antonio. You used
Sorry, Dan. Try again.
Hi, Antonio. Can you hear me?
Dan, well, it may be okay now. Can you speak now, please, Dan?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, fine now. Yeah.
Yeah, fine. Hi, Antonio. You used Dele in a slightly different role, it looked like today. He was kind of playing from the right-hand side, I thought. Can you just talk me through what your thinking was behind using Dele there and say what you thought about his performance?
Yeah, he played like a midfielder, like a number 8, and we start to play with the wings in front of the defensive line. On the left, Obiang, on the right, Dele. Yeah, and he did in the same way like the other. Yeah, and today I decided to make 3 rotations. Then the game against Crystal Palace, Davis for Tanganga, and Winksy for Skip, and then Dele for Lucas. And don't forget, I repeat that we faced the COVID, and many players were affected of the COVID, and I had to try to manage the situation in the best possible way. And I decided to do these 3 rotations, and that's all.
Thank you. Last question from Tony Banks.
Hi, Antonio. Are you not a bit annoyed that your team faced a team with 10 men for more than a half, and you know, is this an opportunity missed, do you think, for 3 points?
Yeah, for sure. It was an opportunity that we missed, and when happened this type of situation, you have to try to exploit this situation and to try to get 3 points. Also because we knew very well that to play against Southampton in this stadium is not easy, and the situation at one point of the game was positive for us. But as I said to you before, I think that in the second half we felt the fatigue, and our mind wasn't clear to make the best decision. Can happen this, and I tried also with substitution to change something, and Lucas Moura in, and Gil. In the first half, I decided to change Reguilon because he booked a yellow card, and I think it was much better in this way. But then we didn't find the solution to score. But we didn't find, because we scored, no? We scored, but at the same time they decided to disallow the goal.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you very much.
So that was every word Antonio Conte said after the game yesterday.
He said at the end there, we scored, but he said we did score. We did find a solution, but they disallowed it. That's what we went on to say yesterday.
And that's exactly what I was saying after the game
Yeah,
yesterday.
and it's interesting because people will say like, "Oh, we didn't have the quality and stuff." But that goal we scored, and even though it was a millimetre offside, that was pure quality. You know what I mean? What a ball on a plate from Winks, a world-class first touch from Kane, and a great finish. Like that's a goal right at the top drawer. That
Yeah,
was.
it's a shame his armpit hairs are too long.
Honestly, it was a goal right at the top drawer. And a super chat here from Josh King. Big up, Josh.
Come on, Josh.
He says, for me, we have to give Winks and Skip a go as a midfield pivot and stick to 3-4-3 for games against lesser teams. They have been our best centre mids.
It's hard to disagree that.
Yeah, definitely of late.
It's hard to disagree
Definitely
that.
of late. I felt, especially Højbjerg yesterday. Yeah, he put in a really inconsistent performance, I felt. I just feel like he seems to think like Højbjerg is the player that gives us structure. He seems to really trust him. He always seems to, if he's got a choice between resting one, he'll rather rest Skip than Højbjerg. He seems to always want Højbjerg in the team, and there must be a reason for that. But I thought yesterday he was pretty poor, actually. To be fair, he was he probably could have been the one taken off.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And again,
I don't think he's bad. People slaying him all the time. I really don't think he's a bad player, Højbjerg.
Again, no, he's not a bad player. I wouldn't say he's a bad player, but I just think Skip and Winks are just playing better than him at the moment.
Yeah, I
Especially
can't disagree with that. Disagree with that.
Skip, man, every time he's not in the team, we're lacking massively in the middle of the park. Every time.
Yeah.
Mad how important he is for us now.
Yeah, if you see the stats, our results with Skip and without Skip, it's so much better with Skip in the team. And definitely, I think we might definitely missed something with him not being there in the team yesterday for sure. But Winks was brilliant. But Dele, I think Dele and Højbjerg probably let him down next to him.
All right, let's get some guests on, and let's start off with Sean Butler.
Big up, Sean.
How's it going, Sean?
There we go. There's that smile.
Hi guys, how are you?
We're good,
Morning,
thanks. How are
Sean.
you?
Yeah, pretty well, thank you. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. Obviously, I was at the game yesterday. Sim was here. Just a very frustrating
Hang on a second, I might
afternoon,
be on,
wasn't it?
You what?
Play again. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
can
we
hear
can
you.
hear you perfectly, mate.
Oh, wait a minute.
Is there a problem?
I can't hear you guys.
Oh, you can't. Well, you can't hear us. One sec, Sean. Can you hear us now, Sean?
Oh, I can hear you now. Yeah, how are you?
All right.
Yes.
Yeah, we're doing good. There we go. Let's try this again.
All good, Sean. All good, Sean. Obviously, a very frustrating day yesterday at St Mary's. I was there. Sim was here.
Yep.
What did you make out of it all? We did enough to win the game yesterday, surely, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, absolutely. I feel like it was one of those games where, because it was so frustrating and disappointing in the result, that most of the feedback that I've seen afterwards, and I was part of, I shared most of the sentiments, was somewhat negative. But actually, had the result been the 2-1 or the 3-1 that it, arguably could have been, had there been better refereeing decisions, then, the feedback and the kind of the community would be a little bit more upbeat, and we'd be looking at the result and thinking that, everything was okay on the day. It was definitely a frustrating affair. I thought Southampton really started the game like they often do, with high energy. And I think Southampton of late, they're the sort of team that need, like they don't generally have the stamina for 90 minutes of pressing the way that they start the game. And so they look to try and get something early from the game and then have something to protect. Overall, though, I feel like you have to also kind of tip your hat a little bit to Southampton.
Yeah.
They were really good on the day. They sat back and defended like beavers when they went down to 10 men. And, I thought that, sometimes you just have to kind of accept it, move on. All right, it was frustrating, disappointing. Referee decisions could have been better. But I thought a draw was probably, I think if you were a Southampton fan and you lost the game, you would have been disappointed as well.
Sean, in a weird way, do you think maybe the red card actually might have hurt us a bit? Because you know how, as you were saying about Southampton, they're a very open attacking team. Usually, they put a lot of risk, and even in the first half, when they were probably slightly the better team, they were putting in a lot of risk in how they were playing. They were playing a very high line, and you could see Kane and Son they had multiple opportunities where they could have been in on goal with the right pass, and we obviously got that opportunity right at the end of the first half with the penalty, and we went on to score. But as soon as that red card comes, something changes in Southampton. They go like, okay, we're down to 10 men now. We have to get everyone behind the ball, and it kind of because when you're 1-0 up, there's a decision to make, isn't there? There's like, do we go for the second goal or do we protect what we have? But once you're down to 10 men, that decision's made for you, isn't it? It's like, okay, we have to kind of batten down the hatches and put 10 men behind the ball. And in a way, if it was 1-1 with 11v11, they're still going to be quite open because they're going to go for the win, aren't they? So in a way, do you think the red card might have actually hurt us in a weird way?
Yeah, and it's often the case, actually. I feel like, and teams, like you said, I completely agree with everything you just said, Sim. Like, their decisions made for them. And then also, I feel like some of the decisions for us is kind of made as well. Like, you feel like it's, I don't think Tottenham are a very good team attacking against a team that sits back. Tottenham have always been a team that can counter quicker than they can develop. I don't think we have the best technical passing for one-touch triangles. I don't think we have that as good as some of the teams that we compete with. We're far better allowing them to come at us, whoever the opposition is, and then trying to break at pace. Normally, you can rely on Sonny and if Mora was playing, and Kane to have their passing, their passing boots on. Their first touch is usually far better than it was yesterday. Sonny's first touch over the last 3 weeks has kind of let him down more often than it's helped us. But yeah, to your point, I do think the sending off, it changed the dynamic of the game. Although, to be honest, it was coming. Like I was on the Irish Hotspur, and I was saying to Jack Kanicki after 20 minutes, I was like, that's Salisu who's going to get sent off in this game. He's a big, strong, physical specimen of a man, but he is clumsy. And the only person at the start of the game on the Tottenham side that was aware of how to take advantage of it was Harry Kane, whose first touches and the way that he was pivoting and nutmegging players and making things happen was, he was sensational. The rest of our front line were a little bit bullied by the Southampton side. And, I think the game would have turned out a lot differently if Lucas Moura had started. I think he would have benefited from their style of defence, but wasn't to be in the end.
Sean, let me ask you this about Conte's decision-making yesterday. I mean, first of all, for his decision to start with a three-man midfield against the Southampton side, and second of all, for the changes that he made within the game, bringing on Doherty at half-time, putting him at left wing-back, and then when he brought on Hill, not to move Doherty over to the right and put Hill on the left. I mean, what did you make out of these decisions?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't just those decisions. I didn't agree with bringing on Hill anyway. I thought that Ndombele would have been a better decision. As much as I don't like Ndombele and I want him out of the club if we can get him off the books soon. But I do think in a game where 10 men are defending as deep as they were, and it was, we needed a killer pass. And if
it was crying out for him, wasn't it, Sean?
It was, yeah. I think so. Yeah, I don't know why Hill came on. I thought Hill did okay when he came on, but I thought that Ndombele was a better option. And in terms of Doherty, the guy is so one-footed. I don't know what he does with his left foot. He's right-footed. I almost like when he throws the ball in, he throws it with his right hand as well. He's so one-sided, and he's just being on the left-hand side. It just created nothing for us, and two of the chances that he had, one of them where it looked like he was defending a corner when he booted it 90 foot into the air. And the other one, all he needed to do was swing his foot at it, and it's his left foot, and instead he took the touch with his right, and then he's tried to do it again. I don't think he's Premiership quality. I feel like he'd be out of his depth even in a relegation team in the Premiership. He's certainly not the sort of quality that we need. Even
so, that like you're saying how one-footed he was. Why, when Hill came on, was he not moved over to the right? I don't get it.
No, I agree. I totally agree. Yeah, if you're going to have him on the pitch, at least put him on the side where it suits his foot. I'm guessing that Conte thought maybe we'd create more by having a left-footed guy on the right and a right-footed guy on the left that can bring the ball in and cut inside. But when you've got 10 defenders or 9 defenders and a goalie that are sat back, I guess the logic is if they're so deep that you can't really beat them to the byline and whip the ball in, so the only way to do it is to pull it back and then use their stronger foot to come in with an infield cross. But none of that panned out. So yeah, I agree with you, Ben. It didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, the only thing I can think of is maybe he was thinking the centre backs like Davis and Sanchez will provide the width. Like they were playing pretty high up, weren't they? But especially on Sanchez's side, there was just you can't expect him to provide any sort of quality when he whips the ball into the box, can you? And I think that was probably the case.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you think that Sanchez has been given more responsibility? I was having this conversation last night as well with my dad. I feel like my dad was telling me that he goes, I don't think that the centre backs are good enough with the ball, and I was like, if you're, is it their responsibility to be offensive? And his contention is that if you're playing a three at the back, then yes, it is. Right? Like,
it is. I agree, and I think it is.
I completely agree. I completely agree with your dad.
So, do you think that Sanchez has been given that nod and saying, okay, whilst Romero's out, it's on you from the right hand side to do things?
Yeah.
And do you think, if that is the case, do you think he's got the talent to be able to provide that sort of service? Because I'm not sure he does.
No, I don't. That's what I've said. I think he's doing a good job actually at the moment. Like play. I think he's in good form. He's doing a really good job defensively for the team, and he's like mopping up some really crucial mistakes, like the last minute yesterday where we should have conceded and he prevented that. Like, he's doing a good job, but from what we need from a centre back, from what a centre back needs to be in a Conte system, I just don't think he's ever going to be exactly the right fit, because as much as he's a good defender, and I do believe he's a good defender, you need to be able to, like what Ben Davis does, you need to be able to get into that final third and really contribute and really look dangerous and be comfortable. That's the main thing. You need to be comfortable in those situations, passing and moving and being an option. And he just doesn't look. I don't think he'll ever look comfortable in those situations. And that, as soon as we have a defender who is able to step into the final third and be a bit more of an option and not a liability, then you'll see a big difference in how we're able to attack. Because they can just give Sanchez the ball and let him have it, because he's not going to do anything.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, like I said, I wasn't kind of aware or didn't think that was as much of a role or responsibility of
I think we can see it with Davis. How many times do we see Davis in the final third now? A lot.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, he's looking he's looking more like a midfielder at times, isn't he?
I think there was a lack of urgency yesterday, a lack of movement, a lack of a lot of things yesterday, but especially in the defence and with Hugo Lloris. I just felt they were just taking way too much time on the ball when we were trying to start our moves from the back, and I think that hurt us yesterday. Don't know what you felt about that, Sean.
Yeah, well, I thought that I don't want to take anything away from Southampton. I think they defended well even before they went down to 10 men. I thought that I didn't see any real praise anywhere in the press this morning for Adam Armstrong, but I thought Adam Armstrong played really well. He's a little guy. I feel like they had a couple of chances early on that, again, if they'd taken the chances from Shane Long's header and or Adam Armstrong, he's a short fellow, I know, but his timing of the head was wrong. But I think that Southampton played really well, and I think that they pressed from the front. And to your point about whether or not the defence and Hugo Lloris wasn't urgent enough, the game that I watched was I felt like Southampton made it difficult and from the front, right? And I felt like I do want to see more from Hugo Lloris. I do want to see him play that sweeper role a little bit more with more ease and comfort. But I feel like yesterday was just a frustrating game for all, and we looked at the game beforehand and thought we should have won the game comfortably. But Tottenham away from home isn't the same as Tottenham at home. Right? That's clear as day. The last game I think we played away from home was Everton, and we offered nothing then as well. We obviously offered nothing against Mura, so I think that Conte needs to go back to the drawing board a little bit to figure out how to get more out of the team away from home, and starting right from the back with Hugo Lloris to your question directly. But I think that throughout the team, away from home, Tottenham are not anything like the same outfit as we are at home at the moment.
Yeah, look at the results. It bears out. We're third in the home table and we're 13th in the away table. And that's what's really letting us down. Our home form is actually pretty good.
We've won every game apart from Chelsea and United.
Yeah, apart from those two games where under Nuno we got battered, we've actually been pretty good at home. So...
and we've got all the big boys to play away from home still, right? I know we played Arsenal away and West Ham, I think, but we haven't played City yet. We haven't played Liverpool yet. We haven't played Chelsea
United.
Yet. We haven't played, or United, right? So we need to figure it out. We need to figure it out fast because those games are going to come around the corner before we know it. And to that, leading on to that point, I don't know why we always go with the 3-5-2 away from home. I feel like the 3-4-3 suits us better, especially when Mora's in the team and Skippy. Put those two back in. That's clearly our starting 11. We can figure out whether or not Winks or Højbjerg should partner Skippy. But to me, I just feel like you have to trust the formation that seems to work. I know that Conte wants to go 3-5-2, but from what I've seen so far, the 3-4-3 is far more effective.
Yeah, I mean, look, it was always going to be hard to play the same lineup than we did 48 hours prior to that against Palace. You know what I mean? So I think you can give Conte maybe a bit of leeway on that in that sense. But two players I want to talk about in Dele Alli and Harry Winks. Both came under a lot of praise after that Liverpool game. What did you make of their kind of backup performances against Southampton?
Well, Dele Alli's pretty easy to summarise. He didn't do anything. His fitness levels look shocking. He didn't provide anything. Like in the Liverpool game, he was providing late runs. He was energetic. He was passionate. He cared. The most I saw him yesterday, that I think he got a little bit annoyed with one of the Southampton players when we conceded a corner, and that was about the only moment that I saw him showing any kind of level of interest in the game. So, one swallow doesn't make a summer. He hasn't played well for a long time for Tottenham. Liverpool, okay, that it was an opportunity for him against one of the best teams in Europe, and he did put on his old shoes again. But I feel like we were back to form, back to type with him yesterday, and if Newcastle want him or whoever else, then I'd be open to offers. I think his time at Tottenham, unfortunately, is well past its sell-by date. And in terms of Harry Winks, a lot of people thought that Harry Winks played better than I thought he played yesterday. A lot of people always give him lots of credit for his passing. I know that he did put a couple of passes through that led to good opportunities. Obviously, the goal that was disallowed that shouldn't have been. And that's important that midfielders are contributing to the key moments in the game. But for the other 88 minutes of the game, I just saw him doing a lot of backward passing or sideways passing. I saw him looking at Højbjerg and just neither of them knowing who's taking the more advanced role. And that's something that Skippy hasn't even had to bother with, in the last month or so. Skippy's just taken the ball by the horns and taken the ball either with his feet or just moved. He passed and moved, gets more aggressive. These two, when they play together, they don't know who's taken the more advanced role. And so I heard a lot of, I heard your feedback after the game yesterday. I think you guys felt that Harry Winks was slightly better than I thought. I wasn't impressed personally.
Interesting. Yeah, that's very interesting.
All right, sure. So who was your man of the match yesterday then, Sean?
For Tottenham, Harry Kane. I thought Harry Kane was, in the first half, if the other players up front could have been on the same wavelength as him, I think that he picked up on the idea that the Southampton press, Salisu and the other guys in the midfield as well, they were so onto it, and he was just aware of that. He was drawing fouls, and it took the other players at Tottenham, pretty much 45 minutes to figure that out. And like I say, he should have got a second goal. Was disallowed. So for me, Harry Kane was the easiest man of the match for the Tottenham out of the Tottenham side. Yeah.
All right, Sean. Always a pleasure to speak to you. Look forward to seeing you on New Year's Day, and we'll see you then.
Thanks, guys. See you soon.
Nice one, Sean.
Cheers,
good to see you, mate.
That was Sean. Always great to get his opinions. El Saeed with the super chat saying, referees stink of pushing Man United to fourth again. Remember the penalties for Man United last year.
Yeah, they did get a lot of penalties.
Extremely amount, yeah. Chicago Hotspur saying, just a little bump in the road which will lead to glory. Mark my words, my fellow Yids. Come on, you Spurs.
That's why I like to see a bit of confidence.
Yeah, and without further ado, let's bring on our next guest, who is the Jorical. Yes, Jory,
hey
how's
guys.
it going, my friend?
Morning, Jory.
Morning. It's going all right. I can't say that I ain't disappointed. It was actually quite the disappointment, I think, yesterday.
Do you think we did enough to win the game yesterday, Jory?
No. I think clearly our fitness is not quite as great as I thought it was. We were clearly tired from the Liverpool game and the West Ham. I mean, understandably, it's two difficult games that we had before that, and I think we could see it like we weren't closing down the Southampton play like we've did in those two games, for example, especially not the Liverpool game. So we left way too much space, and then once they really got into the game, then we kind of reverted to our bad old form, into the bad old kind of pattern of playing, So and like the typical, like, I don't want to be stuck with it, Winks almost started his side passing and so on. I heard you guys talk about his passes. I agree. Some of his through passes were among the better things we did, but also at the same time, we did see them. I mean, I felt the midfield was extremely weak, and Højbjerg is worrying me quite a bit because he does not fit in anywhere. Like, he's not finding one foot to stand on when it comes to this Conte play. I mean, the best I've seen lately from him is kind of like he passes, like he gets a passing grade, not anything more than that. And he used to be like almost the center piece of our midfield, and of, like, he used to be the robust kind of wall that we kind of relied heavily on, and now it's kind of like he's like the fifth wheel in many cases. He's contributing very little. He seems to be struggling with the forward play. I don't know. What do you think, guys?
Are you talking about this game alone, or just in general since Conte has come?
Just in general, but I thought it was particularly bad in this game. But I think, like for a guy that has a play style that's fairly simple and straightforward, and very aggressive, I feel like he's been kind of lost since Conte's system has been, since Conte has been around, really. I mean, there's been ups and downs, but it's nothing like we were used to seeing from Højbjerg, where it was like he was in many a game the most important player by far. I've not even seen him come close to like he's a complete second to Skip's midfield role. So, which is weird, because Højbjerg has loads more experience. It's not like he's the type of guy that shies away from that responsibility. He's not the guy to run from a challenge. So I'm having a hard time figuring out what's going wrong there. And I can maybe understand it in terms of, because when you watch the Danish team, he's very much quite the key player in the forward play. But, the international games, you get a lot more space than you get in the Premier League, and I kind of feel like when he's going forward or on the ball, he suffers a lot with when he's pressed, that's where he makes mistakes. But not even that. It's just like he feels completely off, even off the ball. He kind of feels like, positionally he's off it. He's making a lot of bad challenges, I think. So, yeah, I don't know. This one I kind of throw over to you guys to maybe give some insight, and I'm kind of struggling to find a good explanation.
I mean, we're playing him a lot at the moment. He played 90 minutes, and he played 80 minutes against Palace, then 90 minutes against Southampton, and definitely Southampton game.
For everyone in 48 hours. Let's be honest. It's a big ask for anyone to do that in
and especially that position midfield. It's very, very difficult. The other two players in very taxing positions in Reguilon and Emerson, they both had to be taken off because they were getting too tired. But Højbjerg obviously stayed on. I did think he had a pretty poor game yesterday, but I actually think a couple games ago against West Ham he was very good, wasn't he? Got a great assist for Bergwijn's goal. Like, I don't think.
I mean, I don't want to make it sound like he's awful or anything. I mean, he would never, like he used to be. Last season, he was if not my favorite player, then he was like top 3, you know. But I'm just saying he's so far off that basically we were talking about him. He should be the captain, really, you know, and he's far from that right now since Conte's come in. I think it's more Skip is much more likely to fill those shoes as he's playing, you know. So,
but Jory, in that moment you're talking about last season when he came in. I mean, you're talking about a team that wasn't really functioning that well. The team everything was going through Kane and Son. Højbjerg was that kind of midfield maestro, yeah, but he didn't really have anyone to compete with in that midfield. He didn't have a Skip that came up really well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's exactly also kind of a little bit how I've been thinking about it, is actually because the team was so dysfunctional. He actually shined and was more important and had more of a positive impact in that sense, you know, because he was one of the few that could ground the team and make us a little bit more solid, especially in the defensive play, I felt. But just in general, like yesterday, I thought like we totally reverted to a bad default. You know, what I'm looking forward to seeing is like Conte getting so far down the line with this squad and whatever we're going to add on in January, that our default will become something else, you know, something other than this. Like we reverted to the low running team that we've been for too long, you know. So
but to be fair, Jory, you know,
understandably in the circumstances, but still, you know, you also saw the same kind of patterns of like the communication between the players, the lack of movement when somebody's looking to pass the ball. You know, you saw Winks throwing his hands up a couple of times. You know, there was nobody offering themselves up for him to pass to, you know, and so on. So that's where I feel like it was disappointing to see, because that's where, you know, like I actually thought Kane was one of the best players yesterday, but you know, we still have this thing about Kane being the leader, and I'm sure it's still in the squad. I think it's very important that Kane gets to be just a striker. He never took on the leadership role fully, and I think the squad should stop looking to him to provide the answers, drop deep, take the ball, create the play. I think we need to pass that on and let Kane just score the goals. There's nobody better at that to do that. Kane can, like he almost did last season. He tried to do it all and did a great job of it. But we can't. That's not a reliable way to set up, you know. So I kind of felt it went into that thing, you know. Oh, is Kane gonna do something? Is Sonny gonna do something? And very little. I didn't feel the team effort like we've been seeing lately, you know. So
what did you think of the decision from Conte in the second half to play Doherty on the left and Gil on the right instead of switching it the other way?
I thought it was weird, and I also want to say, I think like this was probably the only kind of bad performance we've seen from Conte. But I'm also wondering if it's actually anything to do with bad performances, that he's just like he said at the conference, like we're spent, you know, we don't have enough players, or like this is what we're capable of when we've played 2 games in such a short time, you know, and so I also kind of felt like Conte wanted, you know, to maybe leave it a little bit in the hands of the players in terms of that squad that he put out there, to kind of find their way out of it, and they didn't, you know. And of course, when you get a lackluster performance out of Delhi like you do, that alone is going to be such a huge problem for the whole team to kind of work around when your midfielders don't show up, or like when they're not being effective for whatever reason, then the whole thing starts struggling, you know. And I kind of felt, I think Stellos maybe talked about it yesterday or something, that the midfield was maybe a bit too overcrowded in that sense, you know. And I kind of felt maybe that would have been better to set up more as the Liverpool and go for more long ball play. Since we weren't just pressing them, we didn't have the energy to press them, you know. Normally, you would say that we should be all on the front foot and just pressing every ball, you know, but that was certainly not happening yesterday. So, but I also, like, Ben, you were at the game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so for me, it seemed like off the ball movement was like very little compared to lately. Am I right?
I mean, from what I was seeing from the stands, it looked very lethargic, really, and no movement whatsoever, really. There was lack of movement massively yesterday. I mean, me and Stelios kept pointing that out time and time again. No runners, no one really moving for the ball. It was very frustrating.
But I mean, I think, like, considering also who we're talking about, and also the injuries now and so on, I think, you know, if like we expected, maybe most of us expected 0 points from the Liverpool game. Now we get 1 point. I don't think in terms of the top four or in the greater schemes of things that this is a problem. It was just like the energy was so different than what we've seen from Conte. Even when we've had difficult games, I feel like we've always seen these guys really want to put everything in there, and you know, kind of like we saw with Winks in the Liverpool game. It's like I know Winks is scared when he's going forward like that, but he's still doing it. You know, that's like, you saw bravery from the players. You saw them actually following some kind of instructions to make themselves better. Same with Davis, you know, the way he's attacking the last third. It's people, they are trusting in Conte's advice and doing it. We saw it a little bit with Mourinho, but it never lasted more than 1 or 2 games, you know. Now we've seen a run of our players trusting Conte to the T. And yesterday, we like that's then stopped a little bit, I thought. So, but yeah, I don't want to sound too gloomy either. I think.
Do you maybe put that down to just maybe playing 2 games in 48 hours or whatever it was, or, you know? Maybe?
No, yeah, for sure, and I think, like, Southampton has to get a lot of credit for it, because they played on that. They said, okay, well then we're gonna press them even more than we do normally. We're gonna be on their back every time they touch the ball, and that definitely worked out for them, you know. And it, like, also, by the way, for me, like, Kyle Walker-Peters had an amazing game for Southampton. He was man of the match in my view. The keeper was good as well, Southampton. For us, I felt actually Sanchez had the best game. Was our
Sanchez
best man.
was brilliant. I mean, that challenge at the end, that was a game-saving challenge, wasn't it?
Completely. And also, I mean, I think Sanchez, I'm seeing some great things. I was watching back the Palace game again, and, you know, like, Sanchez completely produced that red card on Zaha. Like, he was annoying him so much, you know. And so that was probably a plan from the get-go, and Sanchez completely produced on that front. So so I think, or I hope at least, that Sanchez keeps going like this, because I'm seeing a really strong performance last couple of games, and even yesterday, which wasn't a strong performance in general from the team, but Sanchez was good, I think. So Dyer was all right as well.
Apart from that slip at the end.
Yeah. But I mean, and that's maybe worrying. Now we're seeing it come in a little bit again. But I think hopefully it's just one of those that Conte can then just re-emphasize, like what he's been doing right with our back line. I also liked. I saw the interview with Dyer afterwards. I kind of felt that was the first time I saw this from Dyer. I've heard him say all these nice things, but like it seemed genuine last night that he thinks that they really need to step it up. Like he was calling out himself and the squad. You know, we need to perform at a higher level. So I felt like Dyer has been too quick to excuse himself and the squad in the past when it comes to this kind of play. So so I mean, there's a lot of good. Like I said, how many years have we been struggling, like complaining about our defense, and now we're almost never complaining about them. It's the attack or the midfield that's kind of the bigger problem now. So I think that's a luxury to have at least.
All right.
Yeah,
Joey, always a pleasure to speak to you, my friend, and we'll see you next time. And yeah, hopefully for 3 points, and Happy New Year, my friend.
Yeah, likewise. Take care, guys. Keep up
See
the
you.
great work.
Thank you, my friend. Bye.
Nice one, Jory.
Super chat here from George Giorgio saying, felt inverted wingers was unstandable. Hill was far more success against their left rather than Walker Peters. Reggie would have got sent off against him if on. And there's another one here from Alvin Block saying, big up yourselves, lads. Not sure why it's in Canadian dollars, but come on, you Spurs. He sent a few other super chats as well without any text.
I think he was just testing. Alvin. Is it American dollars now? No, still not. American? No, still not. And this one from Skinny Fat. Did you do this one?
Don't think so.
Says the draw was the best thing that could have happened. Could have happened. A ball of hair off January shows how weak we are when it comes to depth, and that we need to invest. Maybe that's what who was it? Josh King was saying. Maybe it's the best thing that could happen just before January. A bad result.
Yeah, you know what? We were all saying before this game how is Levy actually going to spend after all these results and stuff like that. So you never know. You never know. I'm looking forward to the month of January. Big games, transfer window open. And now, was it 2 days since the transfer window opens, or 3 days? So let's bring it on. Is there anyone else?
There was someone. I thought I saw someone.
I just saw Tommy in the back end. He's not there? Oh, he left. All right.
Has he come back in? You come back in, Tommy? Is he gone? Anything? Anyone come back in? All right. I guess if that's no one. I thought I saw someone in the background. All right.
All right, we'll see you all very soon. Player ratings and 5 takeaways to come your way very, very shortly. But thank you, everyone, for joining us this morning for Good Morning Tottenham. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.